almost like being in love. There's that smile on my face for that whole human race. It's almost like being in love. Now the music of life seems to be like that bell that is pealing for you and for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I'd say that I was falling. It's almost like being, it's almost,
what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the rampant windows were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, doubles bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner and wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So thank you again for joining us, all the dignitaries. And if you were here last year or many times before, you have heard a stirring rendition of General Patton's blood and guts speech. And it is at this time in our program that our reenactor, Stan Wolcott, does that speech for us. So if Stan is here, because I haven't got to see him, and usually he comes in the Dodge, very similar to the one General Patton rode in, under a siren, to be here to give that speech. So if you're here, General Patton, please come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, General George S. Patton led the parade by Stan Wolcott.
Be seated. Now, I want you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country. Men, all this stuff you've heard about America wanting to stay out of the war is a bunch of horse dung. Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle. When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, fastest runner, big league ball players, toughest boxer. Americans love a winner. and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man that lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a war, because the very thought of losing is hateful to Americans. Now, an army is a team. It lives, eats, sleeps, fights as a team. This individuality stuff's a bunch of crap. The bilious bastards who wrote that stuff about individuality for the Saturday Evening Post don't know anything more about real battle than they do about fornicating. Now, we have the finest food and equipment, the best spirit, and the best men in the world. You know, my God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. My God, I do. We're not just going to shoot those bastards. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy Hun bastards by the bushel. Now, some of you boys I know are wondering whether or not you'll chicken out under fire. Don't worry about it. I can assure you that you will all do your duty. The Nazis are the enemy. Wade into them, spill their blood, shoot them in the belly. When you put your hand into a bunch of goo that a moment before was your best friend's face, you know what to do. Now, there's another thing I want you to remember. I don't want to get any messages saying we are holding our position. We're not holding anything. Let the Hun do that. We are advancing constantly, and the only thing we're interested in holding on to is the enemy. We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose. Now, there's one thing that you men will be able to say when you get back home. 30 years from now, when you're sitting around your fireside, with your grandson on your knee, and he asks you, what did you do in the Great World War II? You won't have to say, well, I shoveled shit in Louisiana. All right, now, you sons of bitches, you know how I feel. I will be proud to lead you wonderful guys into battle anytime, anywhere. That's all.
You know, it's such an important day for us to celebrate the millions and millions of men and women who have served in our military and kept our country free and made it what it is today. And we are a beacon for the world, an example for the world of what democracy is all about. And we wouldn't have this democracy if it wasn't for all the men and women who were willing to put their lives on the line to protect it.
Tell me about the importance to the new generations to be part of the armed forces, to the young people to enlisted to serve to the country.
Well, this new generation is much more technical than we were, and I think they recognize the fact that, you know, the technology in the world today and in America is something we really need to keep us safe, and they really enjoy that technology. In fact, the Navy has a new warfare specialty called information technology warfare, because the next war is going to be fought not just on the battlefield but on the computers, because each country is going to be trying to take the other one down on their cyber worlds. So it's a very different world, but it's wonderful to see we still have young men and women willing to serve.
Remember everything that we did in the service, and remembering all those that gave their life up there overseas fighting for us.
A veteran for World War II. Tell me a good experience that you remember from that war.
I was a surgical technician, so I just worked in the hospitals taking care of the wounded men.
And what year was it, and what country?
I was in Japan and in Germany. in the station hospital, 20th in Germany at Bad Kreuznach, and Japan I had 28th Station Hospital, the 172nd Station Hospital, and 118th Station Hospital, all of them in Japan.
Have you ever been here before, or this is your first time?
This is the first time here.
What do you think so far?
I like it, it's just that I get too tired there. I'm too old to do all this walking now. Other than that, it's a nice place. I've been wanting to come over to see it. I finally did today.
I have a brief message from our honorary chairman, Helen Patton, who could not join us today. Of course, she congratulates our honorees, Mr. Izumi, Mr. Chandi, and Mr. MATZNER. This is what she would like me to say, that personal stories are what is keeping the flame of memory and respect for hard-earned liberty alive. I would inspire us to preserve freedom, and so that it is our story, and it becomes a page out of the American book, and our story becomes an extended family for all of us to share and want to be like and a part of. Congratulations to all. And then, as whatever Tom calls me, I want to welcome all our veterans, our wounded warriors, our honored guests, our family, and our friends. We welcome you today to the exciting chapters unfolding at the General Patton Museum. Indeed, it has been a banner year, which began many years ago when we opened the museum in '88 with 6,000 square feet and no exhibits. Today, we have expanded to almost 18,000 square feet for exhibits. A few years back, Kaiser Permanente donated their old facility in Fontana to the museum, which began the process of creating additional space for the museum. Today, we open the MATZNER Tank Pavilion, 6,000 square feet. We will have a soft opening of the Chandi West Wing, made possible by the generosity of Mr. Chandi, who has taken the old shell of the Kaiser buildings, remade it into a beautiful Chandi West Wing facility, which will house the new exhibits, the theater room, and the library, made possible by a grant from the Barker Foundation. And plans to open are for Memorial Weekend of 2018. We hope you'll all join us then. We also have been sharing the museum's rich history with students from all the Coachella Valley schools, and thanks to the generosity of the Anderson Foundation. Metropolitan Water District has redone the big map, which was our first exhibit in the museum. They've given it a new life, as well adding the backdrop of the original map they took to Congress with a topo to sell Congress on the aqueduct, and is now named the MWD Lobby. And thank you, Battlefield Vegas, who helped us get 3 tanks up and running, and Mr. MATZNER for his contribution. And they brought us a beautiful exhibit of a turret, totally redone, which you will see in the new MATZNER Pavilion. And we are not through yet. 2017 has been the perfect storm for the museum. All these wonderful groups and persons who have been involved over the years and have contributed so generously to make these projects come to life and bring the museum into the 21st century. We thank you. I would be remiss if I did not call out our hardworking board: Angus Smith, Dwayne Young, Pete Minix, Heather Garcia, Eduardo Guevara, Carol Herrera, Don Retaliata, Herb Hanna, and our executive director of the museum, Michael Abels, and our museum staff, who are all over the place helping everyone. And of course, our wonderful volunteers. Thank you all so much. And we have our best MC ever, Tom Freeman, and Dave and Susie Miller for the special stamp cancellation. Thank you, each and every one who have helped us grow. We are on the move. Please continue to support and work with us. We will not disappoint as we work to preserve the history of the Desert Training Center and honor our American veterans. Thank you so much for coming. This is the first building that Mr. MATZNER has allowed his name to grace. We are so proud of what the MATZNER Pavilion will mean to our future visitors and to the youth that will visit and take away a part of the desert history. So important to preserving the peace of the world through education, the lessons of the past. A true testament to honoring our American veterans today and always. You, Mr. MATZNER, are a rock star. You are the angel on our shoulder. Indeed, you made our dreams come true. We present you today with the Founders Award for going above and beyond for the General Patton Museum.
I'm very honored to be here with my friend Shandi, who's doing some wonderful things here. But the real superstar here, I mean, first of all, they don't have superstars in age. I have managed to achieve that age. But Margaret is just a wonderful, inspirational leader for this facility. And I'm sure it's definitely how I wound up here, doing the things that I'm doing. And I'm sure it's the way Shandi wound up here too. We are very lucky to have her in a position to help us all honor General Patton's memory and the memory of the millions of brave men and women who fought for our country during World War II. Thank you very much.
Well, a lot of people end up dedicating their lives to defending this country in all branches of the armed forces. And so it's always good when we come back and celebrate their sacrifices and all the freedoms that we now enjoy today.
What would you tell the new generation, the new students, the young people about to be part of the armed forces? How important is it?
Well, I always encourage people, young men and women, to go into the armed forces, stay in school, go into the armed forces. Some of them will stay and make it a career. Others can come out into the law enforcement community once they've got some experience away from home and their parents. And there's nothing more challenging than to be a soldier or to lead other soldiers or airmen or Marines.
Are you a veteran, Mr. SNIFF?
Yes, I'm from the Army and actually a retired colonel.
Wow. Tell me a good experience being in the armed forces.
Well, that tank right behind you there, not that precise one, but that same exact model, is what I used over 3 decades. That tank right there that's on display was one of the main defenders of the United States here during the Cold War. It's been replaced by the M1 Abrams series, but that M60 series tank, I spent a lot of hours on shooting and gunning.
United States is still the #1. It still is the leader in the world. How proud you are of being part of this country that still is a leader in the world.
Well, especially on today, Veterans Day, myself and the others that have served and under the profession of arms, so to speak, in the various branches of the armed forces, couldn't be prouder. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, a lot of self-discipline, all those things that we treasure in our country and in our lives, and make not only our country, but make each of the organizations and companies we work for great.
I was in World War II, both in Europe and the Pacific, and then I signed up for the reserves and got called into Korea, and I was over there in Korea for 2 years. And what would be?
Tell me, Bruce, how important is for you to celebrate Veterans Day?
It's strange. Yeah, I was in Europe. We were with I was in an engineer regiment, and we built 3 field. You got me all tongue-tied. Yeah. Anyhow, on Normandy breach, we built three field hospitals and repaired a couple of bridges railroad bridges going to Europe, to Paris, and then we continued on going, went through the area of the Battle of the Bulge, and finished up going, building a bridge across the Rhine River.
On behalf of the County Board of Supervisors, on behalf of the 4th District, a recognition for you as well, Mr. Master. Thank you so much for the great work you did. Ladies and gentlemen, we have also official representatives of Congress and of State Senate here to make presentations. Gentlemen, if you will come forward. Congress first and State Senate next.
Good morning, everyone. My name is MR.ROBERT. I'm here on behalf of Congressman Raul Ruiz of the 36th District. First, I'd like to take a moment. I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of my fellow Marines in the audience. Happy 242nd birthday just yesterday, Marines. Rock. But really, the real reason we're here today is to congratulate Mr. Matzner and all the great work he does to recognize all the veterans. I myself was in tanks during my time in the Marines, so it's beautiful to see these historic machines up and running. The reason I had a successful time in the Marine Corps is because of the people that had a rough time before me. So personally, and on behalf of Congressman Ruiz, the 36th District, and the nation, thank you all for your service, and more specifically for Mr. Matzner, thank you very much for your generosity.
Lynn Miller for Senator Jeff Stone.
Good morning, all. Say happy Veterans Day to all you veterans, everyone here. We're here at a special day for Mr. Harold Matzner and this museum as a whole for recognizing all that he does. I'm Glenn Miller, the District Director for California State Senator Jeff Stone, and we're here to honor Mr. Matzner for his contributions. And there's too many to actually name, but it's really about giving back to the veterans. Mr. Matzner, there's a lot of people that serve with a gun. Mr. Matzner serves with his checkbook in his heart and continue to make sure that he gives back to our community.
My name is Carlos Gonzalez. I'm the Chief of Staff for Senator Eduardo Garcia. Pleasure to be there and happy Veterans Day. I actually flew all the way down from Sacramento to this event. So on behalf of the state of California, on behalf of Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, who represents the 6 Assembly districts, congratulations to Mr. Harold Matzner for all the work and contributions he did to the Gun Museum. So thank you and have a great day.
Harold, if you'll come forward in front of the podium, please. Margaret, in front of the podium. Now this is somewhat like being knighted, and since the Queen is a little shorter than the subject, you're going to have to lean forward as she knights you. This award is the very first time it's being given, and this is our, well, under the authority of our chair, vested in her by her. She is presenting you with this award and naming you an honorary brigadier general here at the Patton Museum. Now, since the budget was a little short and you didn't give me any money for this, Harold, I want you to know we have a single 1-star that I'm to pin on your lapel. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I'll keep giving Margaret money. He didn't tell me to say that, I'm just kidding. Okay, very good. Congratulations, General. Welcome aboard. Let me give you this pin.
It's a tradition. We should never forget about what our veterans have done for us to be free as a democracy here in the United States. And as your County Board Supervisor for the 4th District, I definitely support our efforts in making sure that our veterans have access to health care, make sure that they have access to homes, and make sure they have access to education. What's beautiful about this event here today is that we're also celebrating a few individuals, specifically Mr. Harold MATZNER and Achatar Chandi, for donating quite a bit of money to build out our museum here, the General Patton Museum, in which Ms. Chiriaco has been working on for generations. And so very proud to be here, and this is an awesome event for us to be part of.
Well, it's so important because this is where it all started for this Coachella Valley. It's amazing that they're continuing to support the assets that we have here, which is this beautiful museum. But it's really about our veterans. Every day should be Veterans Day because what we're enjoying today is because of them. So it's great to see the new tank, the new facility, but really to see the veterans here today.
I would say happy Veterans Day. I came to this great country 26 plus years ago. I would never could dream to be here. It's a great country in the world. Best country on earth. I love this country day and night. As my mom and dad sleeping in India, and I'm hoping, I did tell them this is where I'm going to the great place. And thank you to our veteran, their sacrifice, keeping us safe. Enjoy the freedom. Truly, we all bless. And God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. And I want to thank my friends, Margaret, who encouraged me to do this, and Tom Freeman, know how to trap someone into. Tom came about a year ago with me, said, let's go to a Chiriaco summit. And we had a meeting here and started, we're only going to do a demo here. I said, okay, let's do a demo. He said, well, just 6 us, okay. And he said, okay, we got a little more work to do here. I said, that's fine. Then he told me, how about if we do a small amount of work more? Okay, I said, okay, that's fine too. And a couple of days ago, he was here with me. He said, how about we get this paving here done soon too? And I said, okay, let's get the estimate now. So I'm honored to be here again, and thank you very much.
This is truly a great person, and he has come a long way from Coachella, which is where our original buildings came from. So we think we're sort of related for sure. Anyway, we want to present to Mr. Chandi this small token of our love for him and the work that he's done for the General Patton Museum. And we're looking forward to the great opening on Memorial Day weekend. God bless his family for putting up with me too.
This is almost our country here, and my mom and dad.
Yeah. And one of your friends told me he thinks it's really funny that you're from the East and you built the West Wing.
We should be on them, Margaret.
Oh no.
She do a lot. And without this, it wouldn't be possible. Thank you.
If we could get Mr. Chandi and Margaret to come in front. One more honorary presentation, and we're going to move along in our program. Here's the declaration. Sir, you're going to have to lean over. Honorary Brigadier General Achatar S. Chandi, Patton Museum, United States of America. Thank you, sir. Please step over here. We have a star for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to join you here today as we honor the brave men and women from all walks of life who have stepped forward to defend our nation throughout our history. November 11th is a special day, not just in the United States, but in many parts of the world. In Britain, France, Canada, Belgium, Poland, Australia, New Zealand, and other nations, they set aside today to celebrate the signing of the armistice to end the hostilities of the war to end all wars. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the battlefields of Europe fell silent after more than 4 years of fierce and intense fighting. Today in the United States and across the world, people gather, as they have for nearly a century, town halls and in city squares. They march in parades and join together in many places such as this to celebrate and honor our veterans for their devotion, patriotism, selfless service, and sacrifice on our behalf. It is their loyalty and devotion to this great nation and their courage under fire that allows us to be the nation we are today, the land of the free and the home of the brave. It is because of their sacrifice that we are still the shining example of freedom that is envied the world over. We say thank you not only to them, but also to their families. For no service member serves alone. The family stands tall alongside their soldier, sailor, or airman, and they share in their joys and sometimes the tears that come with service in the military. Thousands of California men and women served in the World Wars, including Captain Nelson Holderman, who received the Medal of Honor for conspicuous bravery while surrounded by the German Army as part of the Lost Brigade. Future comedian Frank Joseph Buster Keaton would see action as a soldier in the 40th Infantry Division of the California Army National Guard. And among the most famous of California soldiers, George S. Patton Jr. would become one of the first Americans to lead soldiers in tanks into battle.
Well, I was in World War II, Korea and Vietnam.
Tell me a little bit about your experience, because I read a little bit that you were not selected to be in the Air Forces, however you were a part of the parachute.
Yes, during the war, the closest I ever got in the aviation was to be a jumper.
Tell me a little bit about the experience. How was that experience to be a parachute?
It was a very, very good experience. I would do it again. Yes.
How important for the people is to serve their country?
It's very important to have the youngsters serve the country and understand what we have in the United States, that the youngsters don't understand that.
How important is to celebrate Veterans Day?
Well, it's kind of sad for me to celebrate Veterans Day, because out of my company, there's only 2 of us left.
What is your friend? Where does your friend live?
My friend lives in Xenia, Ohio, named Jim Martin. And he and I are the only one left in the company.
How do you do in order to have a good life? Do you think you have a good life?
I had a beautiful life. I'll do it again.
Today is a big day in the whole country, because we remember those ones that they passed already, and we remember those ones that are still fighting for this country.
Yes, but I think it goes through one ear and out the other that we must appreciate what we have here in the United States, and people don't believe that until something happens, and then they realize that they have to fight for this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear me okay? I want to thank all the veterans, regardless of age, for what they do, and I do mean it. I only have 2 men left, myself and a fellow named Jim Martin that fought in Bastogne, and he and I are the only one left of the company. The Band of Brothers, if you saw that, it's overrated. And I spent over 60 years in the military. I'll do it again. And in Vietnam, I saved a pilot. My 214 doesn't show it. So anybody in the service, if you did something good, make sure it's in the 214. But I have a picture of Nguyen Cao Ky coming down and pinning the Medal of Valor from Vietnam. But my 214 still doesn't show it. Things like that, it's pretty important for all of you guys who can join the service or in the service. Put down on 214 and make sure it's there. Be proud of what you're doing. And I thank all of you for what you're doing. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the 4th District, the County of Riverside, Mr. Robert N.IZUMI, it is my honor and privilege to recognize the yourself, sir, as a recipient of the 2017 Patton Award of the General Patton Memorial Museum. Robert N.IZUMI served in the United States Armed Forces, first enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1943. His military service spans a remarkable 60 years in vital roles with the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Marines through 3 wars and many humanitarian efforts. Please accept my sincere gratitude and appreciation for serving our country with honor and distinction. You exemplify what is great about our nation, sir. Thank you so much.
Patton Award for 2017 to Mr. Robert Izumi, a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Well, it's a day, you know, above and beyond the 365 days that we should honor and celebrate the work of our veterans, those who continue to serve, those who served, and of course those who we lost. We have the beautiful privilege of living in the United States of America, in a country which we have a tremendous amount of liberty to dream big and to do the things that we aspire to accomplish. Today, an opportunity to say thank you to veterans, their families, and remember those veterans that were lost in war. Great opportunity to bring the community together for a good reason.
In anything, and whether it's a city, an army, a navy, or an organization like this, it takes one person to pull it all together and get the troops moving together in the same direction. And Margaret, you are amazing. So thank you very much for all the work you do. Thank you for, you represent the American dream, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for our community now. And you've been so generous, particularly to the military and so many civic organizations. It's great to have you here, and I think it's also great that you are from a country that is one of the greatest and the largest democracies in the world. So it's a great country. I've been truly familiar with. General MATZNER, I salute you. Harold is a Palm Springs, Coachella Valley treasure. You know, everyone knows about his generosity and his involvement in so many things that are so important to our community, including this beautiful new building over here that he's allowed to have his name on. But those of us who are privileged to know him personally can tell you that not only is he a generous benefactor and philanthropist, he is a nice, good, honest, wonderful, warm man. And Harold, I love you, and the whole city of Palm Springs loves you. And one thing I'd like to say about Harold, as someone who's known him for many years, you see buildings with you see a building with his name on it, you see a lot of awards going to him, but what a lot of people don't know is that every single day Mr. MATZNER is there helping individuals who have problems, and nobody ever hears about it. I hear about some of them, but he doesn't advertise it. He is, that's the great thing about his generosity, is so many people have been aided by him, and people don't even know it except the people that he's generously helped. On today's subject, I just want to say very briefly, and I don't want to speak from a piece of paper, but speak from the heart. It's so heartwarming to be here. I love coming every year and hearing the General Patton speech. It's right up there with the Gettysburg Address as far as I'm concerned. It's so heartwarming, and it's so true today as it was 75 years ago. And you know, some things change. I just got back 2 weeks ago from being at my 45th reunion of the class of '72 at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And a lot of things have changed. The Academy opened in 1845, and I graduated in 72, and I was just back there. And a lot of things have changed because, for one thing, 25% of the midshipmen now are women. And what was really amazing was that 60% of the leadership positions at the Naval Academy are filled by women. Women have become such an incredible part of our military and are so important. So let's give a hand to all those women who are serving not only behind the lines, but on the lines of the military today.
the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. O'er the mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Dreaming ever. I couldn't even dream about this. So this was so chill to me. Who keep us safe and serve our country, continue. And this was actually really token of love from my family and my staff. And especially I will say thanks to Harold MATZNER, who did this great building and the tank. And our children and grandchildren can enjoy this. This is wait to 10 years. This is gonna grow, continue.
You are so young and so successful, Mr. Shandy. What will be your message for the other entrepreneurs, other business people that as you, as Harold, they have the vision to keep supporting this kind of museum, this kind of buildings?
I'd say give back to our community, help our troops and veterans, respect them, respect the flag, and respect this country. Be American, give back.
Your speech was kind of emotional when you mentioned your parents that they're in India, and how you feel at that moment. What's the feeling at that moment, thinking about your father, your mom, the dreams image true for them and for you?
Because they have been through the 1947, 1950 when India and Pakistan divided, so they sacrificed on those days. So I'm proud to be here in the United States. And I didn't have a chance to serve in military or anything, and I said this is how I give back to our country and who keeping us safe.
1,000 miles all the way. Get your kids on Route 66. Now we go to St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City. Gallup, New Mexico. Nights of Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino, on you. Get hit to this candy tip. When you make that California trip, get your kids where on you. Go ahead, boy. Get your kids where? On Route 66. Oh, yeah. Oh, let's go. Thank you.